Welcome to episode 6 of the People's Podcast, BV2. This week, I have two co-hosts with me. I have Mike Lewis, our regular. Newcastle had a win on the weekend, Mike.
Finally, first one in 2 months. But it wasn't a great performance, but it's a win. And with Fulham losing as well, I'm a little bit happier. But saying that, West Brom have had a hell of a win tonight, didn't they?
I don't know, I haven't seen.
Yeah, they beat Southampton 3-0.
Oh, and after last week's win against, would they beat Chelsea last week, wasn't
Chelsea 5-1, wasn't it? So I don't think it's Fulham.
Press at the bottom,
Yeah, I don't think it's Fulham. Everyone has to worry about now. It's going to be West Brom.
I think so. Sam Allardyce does it again.
He does, yeah.
And my second co-host is the action man, Hywel Hughes, who stepped in last minute. Yeah, thank you, Hywel.
Cheers.
Extreme sportsman. What's the most extreme sport you've ever done?
Personally, I'd say ski mountaineering, if you can call that a sport.
What is that?
So you climb up with skis on your back and ski down, basically.
Okay.
Is bungee jumping a sport?
Yeah, I'd say it was a sport.
If we put it's extreme. That's the most extreme thing I did. That's the one thing I did that I thought I might die. To be honest, it did go through my mind.
I'm sure it'll be introduced into the Olympics at some point. So it can't.
Yeah, maybe. Rock climbing's in the Olympics, isn't it? So there we go.
Yeah. I'm going on skiing. How well your brother didn't make sure to tell me that he's a better skier than you. Is that true?
It's definitely not true.
He said you were a better swimmer, but he was definitely a better skier.
He wishes. He wishes.
Right. Before I get on to our guest, Hywel, big thank you to RJ's hairdressers, gents hairdressers, for sponsoring tonight. Rob Jam, great guy. Call in there, get an appointment, see him. Anyway, on to our guest now.
I'm trying my best to grow a beard to call him. I definitely don't need a haircut.
Right then, Hywel.
Hi.
Stuff you said to me, I didn't know about you, so I'm really looking forward to tonight. And like most shows, really embarrassed I didn't know half the stuff. So, put on the focal point of swimming. How did it all begin? How?
Oh, it all began. Actually, for me, it all began when I was 4 years old. My mum and dad took me on my first holiday to the States at the age of 4. We actually flew on Freddie Laker's SkyTrain for £99 return to the States, where my dad's sister was living in Rhode Island at the time, and they had a pool, a huge pool in the home. And basically, I was my cousins basically took my bathers off in the pool one day. My four cousins, and they sank them to the bottom of the deep end, and I was so embarrassed to get out, kind of butt naked. I had to kind of hold my breath, use the steps, go down a bit deeper each time. So the first time was like down a couple of centimeters and down a couple of meters, and then until I got to the bottom and finally retrieved my swimming trunks and got to the top, and I was able to get out of the water. And since then, I've never looked back.
I wasn't expecting that answer.
So yeah, that's where it all started for me.
And going out to America at that age as well. I didn't realize your father had a sister out there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either. I'm just learning things all the time, yeah. Is that when it started, when people started jumping in their pajamas to pick up a brick at the bottom of the pool?
Yeah.
I remember those days. They were great times.
That's one of the wildest things I never understood. Because if I was going to go past the river one day and think, I need to save this brick, I'll dive in now.
In your pajamas.
Just in case you're sleepwalking, so you just shake you outside the garden in Tower Park and out in the river.
So had you had any lessons before going in the pool?
None whatsoever. I had none, and I basically spent the whole holiday then obviously playing in around the pool, and that's how I think there's so many misconceptions about people learning to swim and needing, it's just really about exposure to the water and having fun at that particular age.
Yeah.
And in learning through play, it's a key fundamental part. And and I was just playing hours, obviously, because the weather lent it to it was so hot, you're just in the water all the time. And that's why I kind of learned to swim. And then obviously coming back to here and school, I was you speaking the other week, you mentioned about Cynlais. I was pretty lucky enough to go to Cynlais, and obviously we had our own swimming pool in the school,
which I still think is mad.
Yeah, it was, for its time, was absolutely fantastic. It was,
Yeah.
it was funded and built by the PTA of Cynlais back in the day, and obviously we were very proactive in terms of school around sport and swimming, and yeah, it was, then
fantastic. Yeah, I think that just that alone, like just hearing that is.
So why did they get rid of it?
It was just the overhead costs and maintenance because to run a swimming pool is not it's not cheap money, and obviously with it being outdoors, they would have had to have got to a point where it needed to be covered, etc. Obviously, it became a health and safety risk because people were climbing in, vandalizing it, and with the weather as well. You're very seasonal, and as we know, we've already had our heat wave this year, a week or two ago in April. So.
Yeah, it was an outdoor pool, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was outdoor pool.
I was devastated when Eslovera's pool closed. Like that was because it was sort of like at the end of an era. Like you've been watching that going.
Indeed, and I think you take it for granted. And if you speak to our parents growing up and how they learned to swim, and most of them would have been in an open water environment or like that. But yeah, and in those days then, in terms of school swimming, we used to get on a bus and go all the way to Sunny Bridge. There was no pool in Ystrad at that time.
Yeah, that's what I used to go with Sunny Bridge as well. There wasn't a pool in Mice at that point then, was there?
No.
Well, I didn't know that. It makes sense now why we went up to Sunny Bridge.
Yeah. Because as long as I can remember, there's been a pool in Mice, but I must have been Sunny Bridge trips were before my time.
Where do you used to swim in Brunama, Mike?
I was the Brunama Lido, so that was outside as well. And I only lived 20 yards up the road. It's just behind the rugby pitch in Brunama.
Rugby pitch, at the far side, yeah.
That's it. So it's still there, the carcass of it, but now there is a committee trying to get it up and running again, which I really hope they succeed to do. They've got a website up now to try and get it up.
That was the other one. That was quite iconic because my cousins lived in the same up in my area as well, just so we could walk down the hill from their house to the pool. So
I was.
And I think you'll see, because of obviously the impact of the pandemic and closures and indoor facilities, there's been such a shift of focus to open water and outdoor swimming. There'll actually be quite some weight and around. I think these action groups would be surprised how successful they might be in reopening and these facilities, because they're probably, in terms of open air environments, is kind of one of the kind of safest environments. So obviously the pool water is the safest place to be anyway. COVID doesn't last. The chlorine eradicates in less than 30 seconds. There's a big article come out today by the University of London or Greenwich just come out today. So
sorry, I just reminded of the moment that Trump sort of inadvertently told everybody to start ingesting disinfectant during the early days of the COVID.
And when we brought you on here as a guest, and you're insulting our other guest by comparing him to Donald Trump.
No, not at all. But to go back to what he's, what was being brought up about the pools and things, I think it's bang on in it. I mean, so many people need to have these spaces available to them, and an open air pool is far safer than people trying to find their own way. Going swimming in Llynfan, for example, do you know what I mean, or even the sea and things, because people just don't understand these.
There was an incident in Tenby on the weekend. I don't know if you read that. I posted on Facebook, but there was guys with tombstoning off one of the South Island and got into difficulty. Had to get. He was unconscious, getting pulled out, and they did bring him back. But
spinal injuries, though.
What, sorry,
were there any spinal injuries or?
I don't know. I didn't read too much into it. I know, as I say, that's obviously a big issue and problem. I think people really do underestimate the depth of water and just the impact that going from such a height, even if they think the water is deep enough, but if they land just incorrectly on water, it's like hitting a brick wall. It's not.
It hurts.
You don't be doing a belly flop off there, do you?
No.
Anyway, back to it. Obviously, you got into swimming, but you became a really good swimmer. So what was the difference between what happened?
I just got into club swimming. Obviously, we were swimming in school and things like that, and then when we were getting into going from primary to secondary, the pool in my town was built then. And obviously we had, for the likes of, Julia Henwood or Julia Jones now at the time, and Adrian Brain, myself, there was a very strong swimming fraternity in Ystrad under the leadership of obviously Diana Bryant-Lewis, who was also at Tower Park, neighbour of yours, Shaky. But it's just been very, very strong. And I basically decided to get into club swimming, and I went with Ryan Hywel, and we were swimming underneath swimming club. So yeah.
You mentioned Julia Henwood, Julia Jones, as she is now. I don't think she gets enough credit. She's one of the greatest sports people to come out of Ystrad, really.
Yeah.
And I don't think she gets enough credit for it. Auckland 1990, is it?
Yeah, Auckland, yeah. Commonwealth Games, yeah. And I think it's just because the sport that it is, and unless you're in a profile sport, it's like that. What we found very much in school, unless you're playing rugby, hockey, kind of the key sports.
Yeah.
With no disrespect, if you're doing anything else, something that didn't kind of match or fit into those kind of categories,
I'm yet to
you tended to be a swimmer and a rugby player, didn't you? Or a badminton player and a rugby player. There was no getting away from the fact that you
were footballer. Mike was a footballer.
And a rugby player. From that, definitely living in Bernarman up to a certain point, you'd definitely been a rugby player, especially living so close to the rugby pitch.
Definitely, until I was told I was too small to play for the age I was playing, and I went, right, I'll go play football now.
To be fair to swimmers, out of all the sports we mentioned, I don't know many sports who put that many hours in, especially they get up at crack of dawn, don't they? And they put some hours and some energy into it, don't they?
It's incredible. Yeah, it's such a slog, and you've got to be super disciplined, and just you've got to put a lot of work in. You can't just go in and just think you're going to pull it out of a bag on the day of performance and beat the winning team. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
That was I have to say that's what I've always admired about swimmers. Really good swimmers. I think, like, Joe Public doesn't always appreciate the amount of work that goes in, because swimming is such a technical sport. Something to be good at and efficient at is, I've got so much respect for that, Mike.
And I think because of obviously the time schedules that normally swimmers are training at, nobody else is up or around those facilities at the time, so they don't see it from kind of an outside looking in, and from a spectator point of view, they don't see the people up and down the pool going at 5 o'clock in the morning. They're in 4:30, 5 o'clock, doing their sessions, and then late at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whereas the parents must put in as well as bonkers.
Oh yeah, it requires a phenomenal kind of support from home and whoever's taking you. And there was, I don't know if did you see the program on the other week about women in sport and Judy Murray's interview with Becky Adlington? Have you seen it?
No,
I can't say I have.
Yeah, watch it. It's really interesting. Very, very interesting program.
I need to see that. Because obviously you're name drop in there, but she's a good friend of yours, isn't she, Rebecca Adlington?
Yes, I used to work, with Becky and for Becky, and she's a good friend of mine.
And a fantastic athlete as well, one of Britain's best ever.
Yeah, she was Britain's most successful Olympian and swimmer.
It's mad, isn't it? That if you achieve in certain sports a little bit, then you become this superstar, and then obviously you achieve in swimming, and it's like as if she's achieved more than David Beckham has. In essence, in where she was the best in the world, wasn't she? David Beckham was never the best in the world. But
I think that's what, I guess, an Olympic gold does for you. It's winning going to competing at any high level event is an honor in itself, or whatever, whether you're doing schools, counties, whatever you're trying for at the time is an honor and should never be, but when you get to winning an Olympic gold, it's the pinnacle of anybody's career, and it really does skyrocket you into fame, really,
Yeah, you wouldn't find a sports person who wouldn't want a gold medal from the Olympics, would you? It would be a massive achievement, isn't it? So, going back to yourself, Hywel, when did your international swimming start? How old were you at the time?
So we was doing the club swimming, and then I was doing competitive swimming, and I was doing lifeguarding. So you can do competitive lifeguarding. I don't know if you're aware, but yeah, I got into.
It wasn't until you said.
Myself and Ryan Hywel became the Welsh champions in lifeguarding, and we represented Wales in the British Champs in 1986.
That's class. Where was that?
That was in Coventry. In the old, the pool is no longer there anymore.
All right.
It was in the national pool in Coventry.
What did you have to do then?
Of various kind of events, you do kind of, it's like time trial events, kind of speed rescues, rope, it's all kind of things, scenarios built around kind of lifeguarding things. So they're aptitude tests, but they skill and speed tested. So yeah,
it's quite intense actually. It's worth it. I've done a lot. I did a bit of beach lifeguarding, and that's pretty epic. Like so, part of that is 400 meter. The sort of infamous 400 meters in 7 minutes.
And again, it's really important because again, it's something that the governing bodies are recognising today. Not everybody wants to go in the pool and do hundreds of laps every week and train up and down to become an elite swimmer. There's other aquatic strands out there that's trying to keep people sustained in a sport for longer and engaged is important, and identifying what the different aquatic strands are to give people that interest and need is important.
Would I be right in? So here's a question for you, Hywel. Can you be a strong swimmer without being a fast one? So
I think yes, because I think being swimmers, for the likes of, if you look at Becky and either people are what they call sprint swimmers or long distance swimmers. You wouldn't find Becky Adlington swimming 50 or 100 meters. She's not a 50, 100 meter swimmer. So I think you can. So therefore, you need. I think obviously everybody has a level of strength to a point, but they're able to utilize that strength in various ways, whether it's over a longer distance or a shorter distance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I said, Becky was she was 400, 800 swimmer, and and there's other people. Trying to think like. Mark Foster, he was a 50 meter, he was a splash and dash 50 meter. So I think you can be strong. You can be strong, but you don't necessarily have to be fast. But I'm not. Listen, these guys that swim these distance events for.
Oh yeah, elite athletes are going to be quick, and quicker than the most.
I think
any distance.
Yeah, you don't underestimate. I think this when you're seeing that event taking place on television, you can't underestimate the speed that these guys are moving through the water. And,
well, what's the world record? What's the current record for 400 meters?
400
3 minutes odd.
Yeah. Well, when Becky's record still stands for the 800 meters.
All right.
And when she broke the 800 meter record in Beijing, she broke a 19-year-old record set by Janet Evans, the American swimmer. So the
amount of time between just goes to show how difficult the records are to break.
She smashed that record by over 8 seconds at the time. It was they could not believe what she did.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that these sort of times now we're talking about, people are doing, these swimmers are doing, these top swimmers are doing a meter per second in the water, mind?
Yeah.
that's insane. When you think about that.
It's
like,
phenomenal, and you looked at obviously the likes of PT now when he's doing strokes, which are not. I suppose when you look at them, that you don't think of them as being necessarily fast strokes. Breaststroke is probably one of the slowest strokes historically in the water, but he's turning the world on its head. And he was one of the first ones to go sub-zero on 100 breast, and now he's going down in the low 50s in terms of 100 breaststroke. It's insane. It is insane.
What was your best stroke, Al?
Breaststroke.
Is that what you did for Wales?
Yeah. After lifeguarding, I also then got into Welsh schools myself. Adrian Brain, Julia, we all some from our schools.
I didn't know Adrian Brain had. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got a Welsh international swimmer as well. Yeah,
I didn't know that. What did he do?
He was a fly swimmer.
Gee, but that's one I can't get my head around.
So basically. Yeah, so him and Julia were swimming out of Swansea Valley, and myself and Ryan were swimming out of Neath.
Did they have a club in Ystad at the time?
Yes, they did. We did do Ystad as well, but there was a club in Ystad and set up, quite a large club, really.
Yeah, I remember when I was in school. Like Chris Locke, Kelly Locke, they were very good swimmers.
Indeed. And again, it just. I think looking back through it, we produced a really, a high quality number of swimmers, but that pays dividend to the program that's been there at grassroots level to encourage the people to come through it. It has been fantastic. I think that's a balance between having that club set up and the strength of the school swimming program as well, the national curriculum program. Because at that time, before you see how you see this, the primary schools today, that cluster was part of 14 primary schools stretching from Cwm Twrch all the way over to Pontyffon.
Oh yes, of course. Is it St Thomas or something like that? The school in Pontyffon, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who did you compete against when you swam then for Wales?
It was then at those days we used to swim like what they called home nations against England, Scotland, Ireland. Yeah.
So at what age did you get and you didn't think you were going to get any? Were you anywhere near like Commonwealth Games, anything like that, or were you?
No, did trials and things, but no, didn't get that far. But I think, it's a type of. I think it got to a point where you give up so much of your kind of time going training, and it is kind of you do socialize it, in a swimming team and things like that, but it can be kind of a bit of a solitary sport in terms of the way that you're training and stuff. So you only get to chat when you've got the time in the seconds you're having a rest at the side of the pool and then you're off again. But
the age, really.
Yeah, and I just
decided, years, isn't it?
The boys were going to play rugby and stuff with youth and stuff in Australia, and I thought, I was enjoying what I was doing out of it, and but I enjoyed so many other sports as well. So I think if I was not going to be anywhere in swimming, the other sport I really love to play, and I captained Ystad was tennis.
Yeah, you mentioned after we spoke about tennis with Craig the other day, you said you were good. Didn't you play county? Played
county and South Wales.
Ystad used to have a strong club at one stage, didn't they?
Yeah, very, very strong, very strong. And the Bob Gould used to head it up at the time, at those days, and Craig Jock, Nick Evans, Gail Evans, Tristan Evans, some very good tennis players, I can tell you what. Kerry Joko, Leighton Joko, brilliant. Gerwin, really good tennis players.
Do you mention them now? How do all good rugby players as well, apart from Gail, of course, but all good rugby players?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah, indeed.
So good athletes all around. It's surprising when I speak to people about who's coming on the show and stuff, is they mention how many good athletes we have in this area and have come through. And I think that's a bit where we wanted the show to highlight things. And half the stuff you said now, well, I didn't know about, was really good. And the things about Adrian Brain as well, it's like, it's blown my mind a bit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really good. And, I always say for a small, what was a village and now a small a town. It really does pack a punch in so many ways, so many ways. But that's just a credit to the work that goes on at grassroots sport in this community, and that's what that's where it's key. It's engagement at grassroots level. Don't have, and in any sport, don't ever underestimate the impact that you're having on little children at that time. You see the Tiger Blues were starting back in Ystrad last week, and so fantastic. And never under those parents and coaches and things were giving up the time to work with those kids on the weekend. Never underestimate the impact that you're having on those kids in sport.
It's getting volunteers to do it again now, though, isn't it? Like you mentioned, Bob Gould. Bob Gould volunteered a lot of hours to tennis, rugby, didn't he?
Yeah,
those sort of people.
It takes a lot of time and dedication and out, but it's phenomenal because if you speak to people like Adam Peaty, his story will go back to he'll talk about Mel Marshall, obviously is his coach now, which has taken him through to the success he is today. But he'll always go back to the guy, to the person that taught him to swim.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really is important.
It's having those role models in place, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
And that goes beyond parents, really, as well, doesn't it? I think we've all got a role in the community to set examples and to give time to things and help out whenever we can. Yeah,
as I say, I think the way that people look up and aspire to and see what's going on, and the work that Gareth Thomas has done now during the pandemic and the lockdown, raising awareness of rugby and sport across communities across the world. Really, again, it's something that's, again, I think sometimes you don't think it has that reach, but again, there's probably children in the family households that hear their parents talking about the show, or maybe seen it running on in the background or whatever, and think, oh, what's that? But
definitely. Yeah. So after you finished swimming, did you finish like swimming altogether? Or did you have like a break?
No, I kind of finished swimming altogether, just playing a bit of rugby and stuff then, and just finished, and then took more to the teaching side of it.
The coaching of it. So would you say you've got passion for swimming? Is it a passion?
Yeah, I do have a passion for it. I'm extremely lucky to have been able to, do something now and give my time back and support kind of the world of swimming and aquatics. In my career, not many people get that opportunity, I think. Because but I turned to teaching, and again, teaching the skill saves lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Was your brother a good swimmer?
He was, actually. So he was one of the first group of guys in the area. Him, Rydian Jones, who's a doctor now up in Cardiff. He's a knee surgeon, I think Rydian is. My brother Rydian, Neil Jenkins, I'm trying to think of somebody else. They were the first people in the area to kind of hold their bronze medallion, and became the first kind of lifeguards in my swimming pool.
Oh, fair play.
But my brother also swam at county level as well. He was a good swimmer.
Yeah, he's a good sportsman, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He keeps reminding me the Swansea Valley under-15s only reached one Dual Shield final, and he was playing. He likes to remind me of that. They made us 40 years ago.
And the rest.
I love your brother. He's a legend, isn't he? Are you competitive at all?
Yeah. I guess when you talk about skiing and stuff, we go. I can tell.
He loves skiing, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does love skiing. And you need. Well, Shaky, have you done any ski trips with him, Shaky?
No, I haven't. I'm not in the skiing clique.
You need to. Going skiing with my brother is an experience, and it's a trip. I love my brother to bits, and he's my rock. And but he's competitive in the slopes.
he was trying to buy some skiing stuff from French eBay, and he was coming over to see the French teacher in school to try and tell him how much everything was and what everything was in his French eBay. That's how much he loved his ski, and he was going really in depth in the buying and stuff. He's a star, your brother.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
So you never coached the Wales swimming, but you've managed them, is there?
Yeah, no, so my kind of forte was more in teaching, so going from grassroots up, and then in terms of going into the competitive side with Swim Wales, I team managed the Welsh squad.
That must have been a brilliant experience. Was it hard work?
Yeah, it's a massive responsibility, obviously, because you're taking kind of elite athletes away to compete at a very high level. So in terms of, you've got to think of there's so many things to take into consideration, and welfare, well-being and things like that of athletes, and, so I basically remember my first team away trip with the Welsh team was to Bellinzona in Switzerland. And yeah, as I say, it's just a fantastic situation just to be able to go away with elite athletes and to be at a competition with them and see how they, to perform is brilliant.
When you were representing Wales yourself, did you have to pay to go to places, or was it paid for you? Or
no, had to pay. It wasn't funded.
It's mad, isn't it? Because Jamie Williams was on the other day about the football, and he was saying in football they have to fund a lot of things themselves. It only seems to be rugby really in Wales that's completely funded. We're spoilt, really.
Yeah, indeed.
It's a spoilt sport.
And back then, obviously, because swimming was only it was only amateur status, so you weren't allowed to technically receive any money or for winning. So there was no obviously prize money or anything like that. There was only maybe things through sponsorship, but it had to be kind of indirectly put back into your sport and support your kind of transport getting to and from, if you were lucky with that, and applying for like community chest grants to support things like that. If you were successful, obviously.
Is there big money in it now?
I wouldn't say there's big. I suppose it's a bit different now. There are some kind of pro leagues that are swimming, like there's the arena leagues and the London leagues that are swimming now. But again, there's not masses of money in it, really. I think it's for the likes of it's the swimmers that perform, that reach that kind of Olympic level, that just get endorsements and promos from companies, and that's how they do it.
Is it the same as athletics then? The sort of individual sponsorship of athletes, like.
Yeah.
And you think of the hours they put in, and athletes the same. It's not a huge financial reward, is it, for the hours? But I suppose you do it for different reasons, isn't it? There's different motivations, isn't there?
Yeah.
Is it quite a short career as well? I should imagine swimming. Do many people go into their 30s doing it, or is it?
Well, masters swimming is pretty big. So once they come out, you can go into a master swimming, which generally tends to be kind of 18 plus. But it depends, really. I think the balance that you've got is where sport and performance sport is getting. I think children are getting kind of talent ID'd at such a younger age. If you look at swimmers coming in, I think, they're coming in at the age of 12, 13, going off to their first major events. Like when I went to Bellinzona, Chloe Tutton she made her first swim in that meet that I took the Welsh team away to. And she went to the Olympics. And she's, very successful British swimmer from Bridgend. But yeah, I think so. When they get to an age, they've had enough. But a lot of, I think having the mindset to perform like that at such a young age is a big pressure, and sometimes young children don't quite understand that.
Just to jump in on mindsets there, is it difficult coaching particularly young children then? Because when you're putting lap after lap after lap after lap in, you're in your own head for a long time. So is there any, sort of coaching on or teaching on that side of it about, or is it just a focus, counting strokes?
I think there's more focus, there's more understanding, awareness, and knowledge of it now than there was years back. Certainly, do you know what I mean? So, and I think that's where they were finding, swimmers were burning out quite at a young, their swimming career was very short-lived, and there was kind of a burnout. But as I say, when we're going into masters swimming, a lot of people, it's when they say they can see the difference. People who swim at a younger age are still swimming in masters, and actually they seem to be pulling out better results of masters swimming because they're able to apply the science and understand how it works. Because there is a lot of science in sport today, and as we know, between video analysis of your performance and how you're doing it, and it's
all fine line, isn't it?
Oh, very much so. And that's what is the difference between winning gold, silver, and breaking a record or not. And
it's amazing. The Olympics is amazing. Swimming's always in the first week, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the highest. It's really weird. So in terms of profiling, it's probably one of the highest profile sports in the Olympics.
Yeah, because I spoke to a person, I won't name who they were, and the Welsh person who ran for Great Britain, and they were an athlete, they were a sprinter, and they weren't. He used to say the swimmers used to get on their nerves in the Olympic Village because they'd be done after week 1 and they'd be partying all week 2, wouldn't they?
Partying? No. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was done, and then all these athletes would be there, and the swimmers would be going mad. And he was saying that the first thing they did, as soon as you walked into your chalet or whatever you were staying in, the first thing that was on the table was a big bowl of condoms. And that's the first thing that greeted you as you came into the Olympic Village, like. And you were saying,
well, you got to be safe, you got to be safe.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, you think, but if you think with all those elite athletes, would you want them mixing?
If you blow them up, they're a very good flotation device, I've heard.
Correct.
You think of all those elite athlete genes there together. Surely you want them getting them pregnant and having even more elite athletes for the next generation. I don't know.
Wow, that's a leap, isn't it?
You know it's a big scientific project.
Perhaps they were tampered products, and that's why they put them out. A couple of pinballs around the place.
I don't know. But this guy, that's the first thing he wanted to tell me about the Olympics. It wasn't about anything else. It was just about when he walked into the room, that's the first thing he saw. But, right.
How much sex they're all having? How much sex everybody's having in the Olympics?
I don't know. Hey, but it does sound as if they enjoy themselves. So, especially the swimmers, apparently.
There's that story about Usain Bolt, isn't there, about and the Swedish volleyball team was a.
No. Hey, let's not get. I don't BV2 Saudi now. Hey, Usain Bolt's wife might be watching this. You don't know, innit? We're on Twitter now. We could be going anywhere. Anyway, back to it. Is there anything else about swimming you'd like to address, Hal? But with yourself?
No, really. And just in terms of the work that I'm doing today, in terms of where I'm at, and in terms of our program across Wales that I kind of oversee in terms of aquatics. I don't think people are aware in terms of the numbers that we kind of hit, but like purely on Learn to Swim alone across kind of Wrexham, Powys and Swansea, we have over 9,000 children learning to swim with us every week. 9,000.
Wow, it's huge.
And that's just across Wrexham, Powys and Swansea. As a group, as a company, as a group, we had just before COVID last year, we hit the 40,000. We had 40,000 children learning to swim with us every week.
That's amazing.
Huge numbers.
That is amazing. That's great. Well done, Hywel. Well done.
Yeah, it's not. It really isn't. It's a well done to kind of all the teams. And it's the people at the coalface that matter, that do the work. Like you're saying, the parents give the time and coach the kids at whatever sport they're doing. That's where the recognition really needs to go on. I'm really lucky that we have fantastic teams across all our pools, teaching children every week, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
a passionate team. Yeah.
Right. Were you ever passionate about rugby, Hywel? Or was that more of a hobby thing?
Yeah, it was more did it for social. I think coming from swimming, I was just like, I just needed to be able to play in the field and come off and have a pint with the boys.
You were a bad rugby player, back row player you were, am I right?
Yeah, back row, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just enjoyed it for the.
Did you ever play with my brother in youth, or were you too young for
that? Bit younger. Oh, did I play? No, I did maybe play with your brother, I think.
Yeah.
Because he's 2 years above me, isn't he? When's he? 69, 60? So, yeah, possibly
70,
was
my brother's born.
70, I'm 71. So, yeah, he was a year above. So he was just kind of going out as coming in.
Because obviously you played for Ystad Youth.
Yeah.
Ystad Seniors?
Yeah, seconds. Yeah.
Did you play for Breckenshire under 20s or something like that, under 21s?
Don't think so. No.
I don't know why I thought that. Perhaps I mixed you up with the other Hywel Evans.
Yeah, maybe. My duo in school, we both had the same name, and he was getting on Welsh schoolboys cap with rugby, and I was in the water.
Yeah. But he's a few years older than you.
I remember you playing for the seconds, actually. I remember, and I remember your leaving do as well. That was in Australia, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
When you went off to was it Oz or Kuwait?
Kuwait. Yeah.
I tell you what, there's a skill in teaching people to swim in a desert. I'll give you that.
Did you teach them to dig the pool first?
Yeah, exactly. how to dig a hole in the sand.
Because you carried on your rugby in Kuwait as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It was just a really good social outlet in terms of meeting people and meeting other expats that were living there in the community, and yeah, rugby was a great way to do that, a great platform to do that.
Because there isn't pubs and clubs in Kuwait, am I right? And so there's no alcohol.
Yeah, officially, there's officially no alcohol. Yeah, yes.
Where's condoms in the Olympics?
Where's the outreach of this program going to?
Yeah, we don't know.
Allegedly, everything's alleged.
Yeah, officially, it's a dry country, correct?
Yeah. So, did you get a cap for playing for Kuwait, or is that more of a club thing?
Well, obviously you represented Kuwait, and we played in the Gulf League and things like that. So yeah, they kind of did do kind of honours like that, but they used to do various things. You'd either have the jersey or a cap or things, depends what they presented at the time. But yeah.
Did you play in the Dubai Sevens for Kuwait, or was that for Bahrain?
No, that was for Kuwait in 1997. Got to the final. We lost in the final.
Was that in the big stadium as well?
Yeah, that was on the finals, played on the big pitch in 97 in Dubai. Incredible. And it was a very different setup then to what it is today. The infrastructure around that tournament has been totally improved in terms of the stadium and things like that. Then it was a stadium that they built purely via all of scaffolding and around the pitch, because that was the home of the Dubai Exiles, where they played the Dubai Sevens.
Right.
There must have been a big crowd, though.
Oh, huge! Yeah, huge crowd, and it was a bit of controversy at the time, because the team that beat us were a Sri Lankan team, but an Emirati had basically paid these so-called employed these people in from Sri Lanka as employers into Dubai, and so-called employed them to make up this team and play in the tournament. So everybody kind of knew the story, what was going on behind the build-up to this in this tournament and thing. And yeah, we were on pitch, and I never forget the stadium. It was just erupting and shouting Kuwait, Kuwait, and it was just like, we were just like, wow, it was incredible.
Awesome experience.
Yeah, very good.
They're allowed to drink in Dubai, though, am I right in saying that?
Yeah, in official kind of licensed places like hotels and certain bars, most of the bars are connected to kind of a hotel.
Because I see them, are they allowed to in the Dubai Sevens? Because it's supposed to be a tremendous event.
yeah, socially, it's a you know, I don't know if any of you guys have been, but if you ever get a chance to go, it's a fun, you know, I think as a destination to take the family, it's awesome. It really is surreal when you get off the plane there, and yeah, as an event, it's a great family event because you can drink in the tournament, and yeah, and there's loads of different entertainment being on. You know, at the time they'll fly in a very on, I think the year that we were there, they had Kylie Minogue was flown in as the closing party for the US7, so they'll throw loads of money at it. Yeah.
Wow.
That's class.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Mike, have you ever played sport abroad?
Yeah, I think I played five-a-side when I was in Ibiza.
No,
On the beach.
It wasn't on a beach. It was in a very dingy kind of old tennis court. And
So Mike, I'll start again. Mike, have you ever played sport abroad?
no, I don't have.
Did you play five-a-side in Ibiza once?
I did. It was against some of the
locals.
Individuals that were in the area at the time.
Yeah, we played against some local boys. I think there was some money on it, or some like tokens for free drinks in local pubs or something. But yeah, that's my overseas venture in the sporting world anyway.
It's not quite the Dubai Sevens final then.
It's not. There's no Kylie Minogue. There might have been on like a tape player or something, but no Kylie Minogue.
You should be so lucky, Mike.
Oh, the class. I like it.
Hywel, you played abroad, right? New Zealand?
Yes, yeah. I dabbled in rugby in New Zealand, actually.
You were telling me the other day, and I didn't realise they have weight categories, don't they?
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, in New Zealand at the time, I'm not sure if it's still the case now, but I think it probably is because it was really popular. Basically, if you were under 80 kilos, you played for A side, and then they had an over 80 kilos category as well. But if you were the coaches decide you were good enough, then they'd move you up. They'd sort of strongly urge you to move into the full side.
How much is 80 kilos?
It's just under 14 stone. So it's about 13.5 stone, yeah, 80 kilos is.
So how did you have props?
Idea.
What was it, uncontested scrums, or was it proper scrums?
No, they were proper scrums and things. It was just that, yeah, people were lighter, and so you had boys going down to they'd be like 50 or 60 kilos, like, do you know what I mean? Some of the boys out in the backs, like. So I was unlucky because I was right on the sort of tip-in scale. Like 1 week I'd be under 80 kilos, the next week I'd be over 80 kilos, and I have to go and play with the big boys, like. So,
I bet there's any South Sea Islanders playing?
Oh, yeah, lots. Yeah, a lot of them. And they are just, natural rugby players. Unbelievable. Just the size of those guys, and, just naturally big people. Like, I got quite a good, I suppose, claim to fame is out there. They've got, when big players come back, sort of get match fit again, then they don't just sort of drop them back in. They'll play at lower leagues and things. And I just happened to be playing in Wellington. Now, at the time, Jerry Collins had been injured. And I decided, because of the size of the South Sea Islanders, that I was going to play at scrum half because I was too small to play at the back row. So 1 week, there was a big hoo-ha in training and things, and the team I was playing with were really excited that Jerry Collins was going to be playing against them on the Saturday. And I had to inform him, and unfortunately I had a sore hamstring from so I sat that one out. But yeah, Jerry Collins played against the team I was playing for.
I don't take it wrong way. You weren't the sharpest of passes. You might have been caught a few times.
I was pretty good on the right, but yeah.
But dive past it like Rupert Moon off the left.
I didn't fancy doing a pirouette off my left and being absolutely annihilated by Jerry Collins because he was nicked in the Terminator, and he, bless him, and he annihilated our pack by himself, like with one arm.
I'm not surprised. There must have been some Fijians and playing in the sevens. How well?
Oh God, yes. Actually, I'm not too sure. Actually, if 97, I don't know if Jonah Lumu was playing for possibly to come across for the sevens in New Zealand. Then I don't know, but yeah, Fijians, yeah, for sure. They were
Fantastic athletes.
Obviously one of the best sevens nations going, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Who's your last game of rugby for?
Bahrain.
So was that a cup then, or was it just again same as Kuwait, like?
Same as Kuwait, really. Played against I think we played against the Barbarians, but again we used to play in the Gulf League. So playing in very, obviously all around traveling around the Gulf, playing for them. But yeah, so playing for Bahrain, and again the same really good setup. The rugby club in Bahrain is an awesome setup. It's incredible.
Oh, sounds an amazing experience altogether.
It is. Sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
as I say, I spent maybe 20 years of my life out there, and yeah, it was.
Wow, was it that long?
Yeah, but probably with no regrets whatsoever.
There seemed to be a sort of exodus of Australian people as well that followed you out there.
Yeah, I'm sure I could have a job for the Welsh Development Agency and recruit the people who are on overseas relations. But yeah, it was really weird. I applied for the job. There's a girl actually lives very close to the rugby club now, Michelle Watkins. She lives next door to Fatty Owen, and so she was out there, and basically she handed my CV and I had a letter to go for an interview in London, and I thought, God, I just didn't apply for the job, and yeah, they had my CV and they'd asked me if I'd come to London for an interview, and I went to London. They offered me the job, and I thought, okay, let's. And next minute, I know I was. On the day, I never forget, flying out from Heathrow was the morning that Lady Diana got killed. And that was the morning.
You did it. You're escaping.
So that was the morning we woke up in. My mum and dad and my brother, kind of accompanied me up to the airport with my boxes and my bags, and yeah, woke up in the hotel room that morning to the news that unfortunately she got killed. So yeah.
It must have been an exciting but very nerve-wracking thing to be going out there.
Yeah, very much so. I think because there's a thing of, I guess, of the unknown, and you go in to live in a totally different culture, and I think that's what was, I think, enhanced it a lot more. I think to live in and to learn a different culture like that, and I think a lot of people have quite misconceptions about.
Yeah.
The Muslims and the Arabs, but I had a great time out there. Got some fantastic friends. We were evacuated out of Kuwait twice through the Gulf War.
That must be scary.
It was the last time my wife and 2 children were flown home, but we had to stay in the country, and then they were slowly shutting the country down until in the end we had to, oh my God, we only lived, say, probably about 15 minutes from the airport. Kuwait is not a very big country in terms of area, and yeah, to go from the house to the airport must have gone through 15 to 20 roadblocks, security to get to the airport, and then got to the airport to be told that the flight that we'd booked on wasn't coming in to get us. And then they had to charter us an aircraft out. They flew us out of Kuwait to Bahrain, and yeah, they then started their attack on Saddam Hussein, and yeah, we were stuck in Bahrain for a bit, and then we had to, because there was like a big fuel embargo on at the time within the world, and so then we had to fly from Bahrain to Cyprus, and then Cyprus back to London. Yeah.
Wow.
Cyprus is a tough life, though, isn't it? I can think of worse places to be stuck, like.
To be honest. But did you go back to Kuwait then, or how well did you?
No, I didn't. So, oh yeah, went
Stayed
back
here
to
then,
Kuwait.
Bill?
No, so I finished. No, went back to Kuwait. I did in that time that we were home during the war. I was the swimming development officer for Powys County Council in the interim period because the country was closed for over about a year and a half, and then we eventually went back. So yeah, I did a 10-year stint in Kuwait, and then I came back to the UK, and then I went back out then to Bahrain.
Do you miss living over there?
Oh, it's a fantastic experience and lifestyle. If anybody gets the chance to go, I think go. I think, as I said, there's so many people going out there, and you speak to the likes of Heather and Ratty and things like that, and you just it's an experience that just you couldn't get here. You know what I mean? And it presents you with opportunities in different ways, if that makes sense. And sometimes you don't think it's kind of it's for the better, but it just enriches your kind of life experiences in so many different ways.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you like to live abroad, Mike?
Thought about moving to England, but nowhere else. No.
that was before they lifted the travel restrictions today, Mike, was it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Up to Newcastle.
They're all allowed back in now, aren't they?
Well, the pubs are open tonight, and I know I just had a message from your guest, your last guest, Craig Cochin, who was he said good luck for he said good luck for tonight, date. He said I'm on the way to the pub, so I'll have a drink thinking about you. I said, oh, thank you.
I've seen the videos. They were all outside one of the weathers in England at like 1 minute past midnight this morning, were they? And there was a queue, all youngsters, but it's hard to feel, not bad for them, but it's hard to feel like, oh, get a grip, because it's been a year now, isn't it? So look, if they want to do that, let them crack on with it. Because the Wales Online poster, kind of look at these losers doing this, waiting outside the pub and all that. Well, so what? As long as they're not hurting anyone, let them crack on, like.
But they could be hurting people, man.
They're not if they're in the pub. If they're in the pub, they're not hurting people, are they? Apart from their livers and...
and I think, to be honest with you, Mike, when you see, the report of people, on the news outside the Senate last week on Swansea Beach, and actually again, these establishments, whether you're a pub, restaurant, have paid a lot of time, effort, and money to put, procedures in place to make themselves safe. So actually, you're probably quite, safer going into those environments than many other areas I can think of that I go into in a spread.
I'm not getting as ripped off as, how much was it down numbers? £4 for a can of dark fruit?
Yeah. I to be fair, all the pubs and clubs I went into the last time between the lockdowns, everything was spot on. Felt really safe, and everybody was respecting it. I think, Hywel, me and you went to the rugby club, didn't we? And it was like we were on the tables, and everybody was keeping apart. There was nobody. I felt really safe.
There's a lot of money in alcoholism, isn't it? So.
And I do see the queues outside Primark Swansea today. Why do you need that Primark t-shirt that bad?
When you can buy it online.
Exactly. There was like, I don't know, there was at least 60, 70 people outside Primark.
This is what I don't get now. This is these views are kind of a bit personal, obviously, and thing, but
it's your show out.
So you get, the Wales at 6:30 news tonight, all showing was the guy who was being interviewed from St David's Shopping Centre. And you're thinking, like, you see all these shoppers going up around the shops, and yet they don't open a sports centre or a bar or a gym where you can go and work out in a safe environment. And again, going back to the swimming pools is the safest environment you can be in as a human immersed in chlorinated water.
Totally.
But I got to be honest, every class I went to in mice, circuits or whatever, spot on. You weren't near anybody. You had your space. Everything was wiped down properly. And it was like, this is safe. As safe as it's going to be anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
I tell you what I haven't understood, right? And throughout all of this, okay, you watch rugby. Now, the players will line up 2 meters apart to sing the national anthem, right? And as soon as they come off the pitch, they put a mask on to sit in the stand 2 meters away from the next player. But they're playing rugby against each other, like scrums, mauls, do you mean they tackled each other? I can't get. What's the thinking then? Like,
I think it's the fact that they've been seen to at any point in time they've been seen to adopt the
social distancing rules.
Yes, the guidelines to make it a safe environment as much as possible when they're away from that contact.
So you're looking, it's like a monkey see, monkey do type of
yeah.
act.
I gotta be honest, my biggest issue with Primark is not the queue, the fact that they don't sell anything that fits me there. Everything's way too small. Like. And if it does fit you, it shrinks, doesn't it? It's like, what's going on? That's my issue.
That's why you've produced your own clothing line, Shaky. So
exactly. No, BV2 clothing.
BV2 mugs. Where's the mug, Shaky? Show us the mug. I haven't seen it. BV2
mug available from Apparel 5. Bethai Plant.
Now then. Where's the pants? That's all I want to know. Where's the pants?
Yeah, stand up. Come on, let's see. No
one wants to see that. Come on now.
Oh. Well, what do you do to relax?
Oh, to relax.
To relax, like.
Now, I've done loads of walking during the pandemic. You know, during the amazing weather we had over the summer last year was. God, every day I'd be out to the door and come geared up on the crib bath, up on the beacons, just enjoying. Incredible, and we've got so much beauty and on our doorstep. And I think this has really has made us step back and appreciate what we do have. I think we've done it to a point before, but now you just really, because
shone a light on what we've got.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is, it's phenomenal. It's really is phenomenal, and so I like to walk. I do like other sports like tennis. I've been playing, going down and having a knock with Joko on the courts and stuff like that. So I do like to do that. And
are you a golfer?
I've played golf, so I used to go away with Rob Jam and the boys across to Spain and on their tours and trips. It is, yeah, brilliant trip. But so play golf, yeah. So
where'd you go to socialise when everything's open? Are you a loaf man?
It tends to be, I guess, the loaf, but I think in terms of I know. Being big mate of John, he tells me all the fabulous work that's been done at the rugby club now and the plans there. And I think supporting local is important. So yeah, just hopefully we'll spread our wings a bit across the town and starting I think down into the Aubrey and the Swan and coming up.
I got to be honest. I went down Wine Street just before the whole COVID thing, and it just was dead. Walkabout was closed and stuff, and to think back when we were younger, how bouncing Wine Street was compared to it is now, it's just dead. I'd rather stay locally, to be honest.
I think there's a change, of culture, and I think when Mike was saying earlier on about youngsters going up to the pubs, and I've got two, my youngest is 18 and my eldest is 20 now, and I really do feel for them growing up at that age and the impact this has had on their kind of social lives and things that we've taken, going again, playing for the youth or 100 seconds on a Saturday, then having a pint in the club, then catching a taxi down to Ponty, down to the Deneva, doing a pub crawl into Marmers or going downtown or going to Cardiff, you just haven't been able to do that, have you? So yeah, I think there's I think the culture, I think, the pub culture, I think, will be kind of reignited. And when obviously we get the go ahead to go indoors, and I know it's outdoors at the moment, but when we're allowed to do that, I think, is evident even in the first lockdown when you were going to places like the Loaf and the Penny and things like that, the support that people were getting.
Yeah, but I put a list out last week on the old social media about pubs in the area and how many people have been. To be surprising how many are closed now.
Yeah,
You think with the Masons, the Butch,
indeed.
I mean, the golf isn't what it was. I mean,
No.
Yeah,
Did you get much?
Mason-
Did you get much controversy on that post, Chicky? I didn't check the
Yes,
message box.
I'd left having a garreg out and someone were not happy about it, like, because I'd cut off on the Gwyn. People take things too seriously. It was just a list for engagement. I did give someone a bonus point for saying they'd been having a gareg. But if you think in Ystrad now, there's the Aubrey and the Penny, and there isn't really any other pubs. And I'm not hard enough to go to the Penny, so I'm stuck with the rugby club, like. Stavera's the same, Hywel. Really, there's a lot of pubs.
The difference is you got to be hard to go to every pub in Stavera.
Yeah. The Terra Vera. Are you the old Swan are shut? Is that true?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't frequent.
I might be wrong. I might be wrong. Don't quote me now. Don't aim from the old Swan coming up saying you've shut us down.
I've moved on, man. I'm living down in Ross now. Do you mean I drink pints of lager with my pinky up and everything now down here, like. You mean I don't frequent places like the Swans anymore?
No. Hey, you'll never take the Vera out of you.
It's useful sometimes. It's useful sometimes.
He goes to the butchers now. He's a posh drinking down the butchers.
Yeah. I went to the Smiths and I had to play some darts the last time I went to a pub, Shaky.
That's great.
Yeah.
Why would you bring darts up now, Hywel? You know he's going to mention it now.
I'm not going to mention that I beat Ted Anki. I'm not going to say it. How well do you like rissoles?
Yes, I like rissoles. I heard you have like rissoles with a passion.
Yes, no, definitely. I might have mentioned that once or twice as well.
They're very much a Welsh thing, though. Did you know that? Have you tried asking for a rissole? Have you tried asking for a rissole?
I tried asking for one in Scotland. No, doesn't happen.
Yes.
They're like, you what?
I got to be honest, we spent nearly all of episode 1 talking about no rissoles being in England, so thank you for watching it.
Just a reminder, just get forgot.
Don't forget, there's no custard slices either. There's no custard slices in the Middle East, was there?
No.
Really? Is that true?
What kind of food did you have out there, How?
It's actually quite a melting pot of cuisines because they do love their food. They are big food people. Yeah. So obviously you had a mix up between Arabic and Asian cuisines and stuff like that. So yeah.
Do they have the McDonald's as well though?
Oh God, yeah, they have. Fast food is like they were having home delivery of McDonald's, etc. before I even know that it was even thought about here in the UK, and it was insane.
Was there any restrictions on the McDonald's menu out there, Hywel?
No,
I was in McDonald's in Sri Lanka. Not Sri Lanka, sorry. It was. And you couldn't have beef, only fillet of fish. Which Doc was he was horrified.
Obviously,
fillet of fish.
So
I never order a fillet of fish.
Pork. You couldn't obviously buy pork-related stuff out there.
Right. So no. What are the breakfast things? The sausage muffins.
Yeah. So couldn't do anything really much pork-related unless you were going to a Spinneys or stuff. That was kind of one of the joys when you were traveling elsewhere in the Middle East to play rugby, that you could go to places like the Emirates and Oman, because they sold pork to expats in those countries. So you had to have a special.
You could have a bacon sandwich.
Yeah, you had to have a special license to buy pork and alcohol actually, and then we used to kind of try to get it back into.
Smuggle it back.
What will you say here now?
When McDonald's kind of hit the markets and it became big and that. And they're quite known about the gherkin, aren't they, in the Big Macs? But everyone hated the gherkin. I didn't, but a lot of people hated the gherkin. So you always wonder, why the hell is the gherkin in the burger?
I like the gherkin.
I like the gherkin.
But you'd get a lot of people, hold the gherkin, don't put the gherkin in. So why didn't they take it out then? It's because everything else is so full of sugar. They had to put the gherkin in to have a piece of veg in there for it to go on the main meal menu. If they didn't have the gherkin in it, they'd have to label the burger as a dessert.
No way. It's not the first time I've heard that, but
Are you sure?
I am 90% sure.
I think that almost trumps.
Primary.
Yeah.
I think that's almost trumping your Rissol facts, Shaky.
Oh, no. The official food of BV2 the Rissol.
Oh, wait, we still haven't. You still haven't told us where the best Rissol is.
A Strydoedd, well, the old temp. I have said this in a previous episode, Al.
Do.
Next thing,
All I know is the Rissols in Mariano's are poor. The Rissols in Charlo's in Pontardawe aren't too bad. I've discovered the other day. There we go. Fun fact.
What I'm going to do next year now, instead of it's so Welsh a Rissol, instead of wearing a leek, I'm going to wear a Rissol on my chest.
You'd eat it before the day's out, sick.
For the day. Well, didn't you used to eat the leek when you were a kid in school?
All the time.
Yeah. Start off at that size and then end at that size.
Right. Has anybody got any other questions for Hywel? Preferably not about gherkins.
I've got a famous relation in the football world. Did you know that?
Ooh.
He was a player manager for he played for Wales, and he was player manager for Watford back in the days of Elton John.
Jacket.
Kenny Jacket. So Kenny Jackett's.
I knew that. I don't know how I knew that.
Kenny Jackett's father and my grandmother, brother and sister.
Wow.
And actually, if you see photos of my brother and Kenny, they probably look more like each other than actually me and my brother do.
Better skier than your brother.
Yeah, probably is.
Is Andrew the worst skier in the family?
He is a good skier.
Kenny Jackett's better than Andrew Tudor. That's skier. Mike, you got any famous relatives?
No.
Hywel?
I suppose carrying on the football theme, I don't know if anybody's heard of Kevin Hurd, used to play for Blackburn and Leeds back in the 70s. He's my cousin, my mother's first cousin. From Lancashire.
Yes.
What about you, Sheikh? Have you got any famous relatives?
I have actually. My grandfather's cousin was Howard Winston, the boxer, world champion.
Wow.
I don't know if you've heard thing. I've got another sort of crazy connection. Is this guy? He's produced the film Hook and a few things. Well, my cousin is married to his son. So when I was a kid, I got to go out to when we went to Los Angeles. We were on the set of the Hook, and I went to buy an ice cream in Columbia Studios, and the guy next to me having ice cream was Steven Spielberg.
Wow.
So that's probably as famous as I've got, really. But they're not really related anyway. But I did go to their house. There's a big mansion thing and stuff. Gerald Molan, his name is. He's in Hook. He's in Jurassic Park. He plays a doctor or something as well. Like,
what doctor does he play?
Huh?
What doctor does he play?
Well, he plays a vet, I suppose. What the hell do you look at dinosaurs? It's not a doctor. I suppose a vet, is it?
Well, an archaeologist, isn't it? But
I don't even know the name of the dinosaur. But yeah, that's really boring. It's not as exciting as Hywel's Reading player, or Watford player, whatever he was. Or your gherkin story.
No, it was a good one.
Who's the most famous person you've met, How? As we're on that stage?
Probably, obviously, Michael Sheen. I think he's pretty up there. I think we underestimated a guy who's now living in, the Astra suburbs as, how kind of famous he is. I was actually watching a film, going back through the archives on the weekend. We were watching Passengers have you seen him? He's the barman in Passengers when they're on the girl that's in Hunger Games, and Chris Pratt? What's his name? Not Chris Pratt. The guy who was from Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I think it's Chris Pratt. Yeah, they're walking up on that spaceship, and
he wakes her up. Don't want to spoiler.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
So that, and I think kind of I think I sent you the photos. One of the best sporting experiences I think I've had. I really had to pinch myself being in that environment. I was invited into Michael Vettel's pit when he won the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Good photos they were.
And a mate of mine was working for Red Bull Racing at the time, and we got invited obviously into the kind of back streets where the teams are, and everything is so top secret. I was really lucky to get away with snapping the photographs. But most incredible experience, and probably meeting Michael Sebastian Vettel was kind of pretty up there.
There's a lot of money in that sport, isn't it? It's a bonkers amount of money there.
It is absolutely insane, and
because I know they sit down in a car, but they're extremely fit blokes, aren't they? The drivers.
I think again
and stuff, and good athletes.
You underestimate the amount of fluids they lose when they're racing around the track again, because they're in such hot environments, and they lose shed loads of weight in fluids and stuff. So
they get really bad cramp and stuff, don't they?
Mm.
As much as Craig Cochen hates tennis, Formula One is my tennis in his version of that. Do you know what I mean? But it does look absolutely amazing, though. Like you sent me those photos and stuff. Mike, put them on you, right? It just looks an amazing experience. Well.
Yeah, we were inside the actual garage, and we were behind in this kind of in this almost booth within the garage, and so we had the headsets on so we could listen to them communicating with the drivers. And I guess it is the secrecy that goes on in that sport is between the teams is incredible, and obviously because they're trying to win the race and technology and things like that. And we were just being able to view kind of all the screens and listen to them speaking, and the cars coming in for their tire changes, and then at the end, then when they came out and they did the display of the champagne for the winner, and because he won the Grand Prix that year as well, and it was incredible. But it was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Fantastic. To be honest, this whole thing has been amazing. Find out so much about you that I didn't know. Fantastic. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Oh, pleasure.
At 6 p.m. this Thursday. Hywel, thank you for stepping in.
No problem. Thank you very much. It's been really interesting. Cheers, Hywel.
No, listen, and Mike and Shaky, listen, along with the other people in the community, doing a fantastic job doing what you do and raising the profile of what happens in the community here in Ystrad and beyond. And we've got a lot to be proud of, guys. And and that goes through the support of all the community pulling together and helping out each other. So,
definitely well said, Hywel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, boys.
No start.
No start, boys.
No start.